Hello and thanks for joining me for what are some of the final races that we're having in Gran Turismo Sport. These are the last two races literally that I had before they froze the DR to carry over to Gran Turismo 7, so hopefully you're all excited the same as I am to see what Gran Turismo 7 is going to be like. I will be making a lot of videos on it, so please do get subscribed and stay tuned if you want to see all of the new features and hopefully some great racing that there is in the new sport mode. These are, as I say, the last two races that I had before they froze the DR. First one I absolutely pleb on a couple of occasions, but it was quite an entertaining race, and then the second one was probably the better race of the two, where we have a bit of a battle with Key 25, so let's see how that all went down. So I started off the night by logging on and seeing how crazy all the quali times have got since Monday, so jumped into a qualifying session. You see first two laps gradual improvement, and then this was the best lap of all, so still running the brake bias on -2, same as it was for my track guide that I've got out for this lap, and following the ghost of the number 10 time. The number 1 time frankly was just so far off the pace of what I was doing that I thought having something a little bit closer to what I might actually be able to achieve would be more useful. So we're following here, just clip the inside of that curb nicely to rotate the car, get on the power nice and early out of the chicane there, and we're going to be trying to get a good launch up this first straight. So really important sector here to get the car tight on the left hand side and then really early on the power, and we absolutely nailed that, getting a great launch up the straight. Speeding up through here into the next braking zone, and really important section to make sure that you carry plenty of speed through, trail braking down, first gear just to spin the car in, straight back up second and on the power nice and early. Now I'll probably do drop a little bit of time here through this next section, tricky part, just a dab of brake before the shadow and turning in. I use a little bit too much brake if anything, but get a nice tidy line and get on the power early enough, not using too much of the runoff there. Now round the final corner, which you actually have to brake for, and just don't get an ideal launch out there, and you see we lose a little bit of time compared to the previous lap that I was on, but ultimately as we come round and across the line, we're going to see that was good enough to go from our 38.905 down to a 38.713. So I was really pleased with that. I did that within sort of 6 or 7 laps of logging on, and it was time to log into the first race of the night. And for our first lobby of the night, we were starting in 4th. It was a little bit earlier in the evening, so not as many people online, but we have got Calster in first, who's incredibly quick in the GTR, and Defect I've raced with many a time in front of us, so really didn't know what to do with this race, whether to start on softs or mediums, and I ended up starting on the mediums. I thought, you know what, I'm not in the first two, I'm going to need to make the most out of the tyres, and even if the 3 in front of me are on softs, I can probably still make a good run of it on the mediums. As you see, a little bit of weave in here just to try and get some sort of heat into the tyres, and I didn't think I broke too early there, but Epic Toby just reminded me that this is a race and not a Sunday drive that we're out for, so giving me a little bit of encouragement from the rear up there to speed up a little. We have dropped off unfortunately a little bit from the front 3, but still well in the mix, and we're going to try and keep hold of the slipstream down this first straight. Skipping ahead a little bit further into the lap, you can see that we are coming under more pressure from Epic Toby here, as we make our first mistake of the session, going wide, not really warmed up yet at this point, and he's going to go up the inside. Not a lot we can do about that there, so just going to let him go by and stick in the toe. That is going to give us the advantage though, coming down the front straight, so we're going to have all the slipstream that we need to go for a move here, as we're right on his bumper coming down the straight. Now it's tough to know what to do here, whether to bump or to go for a pass, but he moves over and opens the inside up, so having the straight line speed, I'm going to go for it. But we are 3 wide as we come down into turn 1, a little bit of door bumping, and I just didn't have any room to go there, so that's maybe not ideal driving from me, but I had the inside and was fully alongside him and just didn't have any room to go, I think, because we were going 3 wide. So coming round to the end of lap 2, as we got a big moment there. I'm not sure if that was Toby coming for revenge or if he just outbraked himself a little bit, but that's going to give me loads of space, and as we come round to the end of lap 3, we're going to be coming into the pits and we're going to go for the soft tyres. I did feel like I've been managing the tyre wear pretty well in the Corvette. I was just running brake balance on -1. It's a really stable, nice car to drive this, and as long as you're not too aggressive out a couple of corners, then you really can make them last quite well. So a little bit early maybe going on lap 3, but I want to make the most of the track time that I'm going to have on the softs, and hopefully towards the end, by the time they're dying off, we're in a good position. So Coming out in 13th, just behind Effects that we were behind at the start of the race, and we're a little bit on our own here, so I'm just going to try and put in some clean laps and see if we can catch up with him. So skipping ahead here now to the end of lap 4, so we've caught right up and we're in the slipstream, and this is my first real error. I'm coming up way too fast. The Greek player unghosted in front of me and I just collide into the back of him. Now luckily they've changed something with the game there and I don't absolutely yeet him into the barrier, so I don't feel quite so bad about doing it, but far from ideal there in terms of my awareness of somebody rejoining the track. And we're now under a lot of pressure from Kauster, who qualified in pole and is definitely a much faster driver than me, so just doing whatever I can to keep him off my back. We have managed to catch right up with Defect and drop Kauster a little bit here, and again he's going to open up and give me the inside, so going to come up here, squeeze him to the outside as much as I can, try and hold the inside line, and he's going to just let us through there, although just let it run a bit too far, catch the gravel, and he's going to come back through. Now with that momentum that I've lost, Kauster's also coming right up along the inside. Bit of a tricky thing to know what to do here. I'm trying to hold the inside line for the next right-hander, but ultimately I'm just too narrow. Clip the curb and unsettle the car, and that's enough for Kauster to go past. As we see him sporting a lovely livery there, we've got Key featured on the back of his car, as well as David Peril as well, I believe, in the penalty slowdown. So wonderful work on the livery there from Kauster, and we're going to see Key a bit later in this video as well. Coming towards the end of lap 6 now, unfortunately they had pulled away from me a little bit, and that's made me fall into the clutches of the Greek driver behind, so we're going to be defending hard into turn 1. He takes the outside, I'm just in the middle of the track as you see them fighting for first place up ahead, and we're going to see what we can do to capitalise on that and catch right up with them. Coming down to the end of the first straight though, and we're going to be under a lot of pressure from the Greek driver here. I don't defend because I don't think he's quite close enough to go for a move, but turns out I'm wrong and I'm a little bit early on the brakes or anything by the looks of it, because he gets around there quite easily and we're down into 4th place, although still not a disaster at this stage. I think I started in 4th and would be quite happy to finish there if needs be. Coming towards the end of lap 8, still in 4th place, just 2nd and 3rd had traded places with one another, so not much has gone on there. I was just following along behind them, and we're going to be doing whatever we can to get ahead, as Defect is definitely dropping off the first 2 drivers and falling back into a pretty vulnerable position from us here. This time around, however, he's going to take the inside, so we pull around to the outside. Got a good bit of momentum coming past here. I'm going to see if I can stick it around the outside. See, tyre wear is really starting to kick in now, but still not disastrous. So we trail brake down and both give each other plenty of space, and it is going to be enough to stick the move. He was really nice to me there, giving me plenty of room, and I think I just fed the brakes down a little bit more smoothly. Was able to get on the power because of the wider line that I was carrying. So we're through and up into 3rd place, and we hook up the chicane there reasonably well. Are we going to hang on to it now for the final lap? So as we come around here for the end of lap 9, pressure is on. Are we going to get the podium? This time it's me on the inside, and the Effect is going to be squeezing me. He comes across to the outside to get ready for braking. I'm going to come across with him, get on the brakes as late as I can. We're now being caught up with by Bobby and the French driver, and this time it's him who makes the move work around the outside. We're down into 4th place, but still absolutely bumper to bumper and on the inside here, but I don't think it's too bad. We've got a half decent line, and I just brake a little bit too much here, catch the curb, unsettle the car, and then absolute disaster strikes. Last lap, I think I must have caught literally 1 pixel of the dirt outside the curb there. You see, it looks to me like the rear tyre's on the curb, but it's obviously a little bit on the grass, and that is enough to spin us round. So we do a 180 as we're luckily ghosted in front of the field, and unfortunately that means that we come across the line in 12th place. So pretty disastrous end to what was otherwise a really good race at the start there, but luckily there was another race in store for us this evening which ended up a little bit better. So as the second lobby of the night loads up, you can definitely tell it's getting a bit later. Everyone else has logged on, and we've got some seriously fast people in here. We've got Will Murdoch a couple of places ahead, Distinct Jones in first, VQS Anderson. We've also got at the back Key starting in 16th and JM Breyer in 15th. So loads of fast people in this lobby, and I was quite excited to see how it pans out. Now this time round, the German driver in front, Defect, has gone for the Mustang, which is an interesting choice. I mean, I guess he wanted to just mix it up a little bit and try something different, but I'm just not convinced this car's really got the sort of cornering speed and acceleration to hang around here unless you're an absolute machine. So unfortunately on the cold tyres there he gets a little bit of a wiggle on, and that's going to mean that we drop back from 8th place. Instantly I'm thinking that I need to just get past him as soon as possible, because this Mustang is not going to have the pace, and the pack in front is going to just pull away and away. The Frenchman goes for a bit of an ambitious move up the inside of me there, but luckily he backs out and doesn't force us off the track at all. So let's skip forward a little bit up here along the straight, and we're going to see if we're going to be able to make a move into the next braking zone, as he doesn't get the best exit there to give him the launch down this long winding section of track. Going to look up the inside, he doesn't defend, get on the brakes as late as we can, use first to turn the car around, but then short shift from the second, give him the room on the inside, and we are going to have the traction there to get past quite comfortably. Now fortunately the pack in front haven't pulled too far away, but we are just outside the slipstream range, so I'm going to need to hope that they're going to battle a little bit and let us catch up, because we need to get up on the back of Scotty S&R here and see what we can do to get involved in all the action in the top 10. So again, skipping forward here a little bit just at the start of lap 2 and coming into turn 1, they just get a little bit bunched up there, and Scotty S&R is just a tiny bit late on the brakes, maybe loses the back end a touch, which is perfect for us because we're going to get right up in the strong suck zone. You see we pull out of the slipstream there of Defect, and we're going to be pulling away with this group, seeing what we can do to work our way further up the leaderboard. Just clip the inside of this curb here a little bit, which be a bit disastrous in the McLaren, but the Corvette seems to be able to take it on most occasions, and going to see if we can look for a move here into this fast braking zone after the long straight, but not far enough alongside. Going to have to tuck back in behind. But then as we skip forward here a couple of corners down, hard hairpin around here for the front straight, and Scotty S&R unfortunately just loses the back end a little bit, exits stage left, and it's going to be a clear run down the front. Now have managed to cling on to the slipstream of the driver in 7th. One driver going into the pits there, Will Murdoch, obviously feeling very confident of managing the tyre wear because he goes straight in. Nothing really changed there on lap 2, so we come into the pits on lap 3, same as the previous race. That tyre wear was getting a little bit on the edge towards the end of lap 10, but I feel like 3 is pretty good, especially if everybody else is doing it. You know, you don't want to be coming in a lap late. It's not an easy track to fight your way back up through the pack unless you're incredibly quick. And we see the door number there, 18. I mean, this was a really highly rated lobby, so I'm the 18th ranked player in here, so anywhere that I can get above that is going to be a positive result for me, as Quinton comes flying past, another very, very quick driver in the F-Type, just driving whenever he likes, as he does best. And you'll see, hunting us down now, we've got the World Tour finalist JM Breyer and Key 25, so it's only a matter of time, I know, before those guys are going to be all over my rear end and looking to push past. So we're going to do what we can to keep this gap going and see if we can hang on to some places, as there's a bit of a mistake from the driver in front. He's got some dirty tyres, so brakes a bit early, and unfortunately I plebbed that exit. So if I'd have really hung with these guys, it might have changed things a little bit, because now I'm falling right back. I'm going to quickly dip under a second between myself and JM Breyer. Come towards the end of the lap, that's then 5/10. He's well into the slipstream now, and him and Key are going to be bump drafting each other, I'm sure, to catch up with me. So for once we managed to not annihilate somebody as they're coming out the pits there, thanks to Scotty staying ghosted. And that just shows you there, coming into the pits a little bit late, how detrimental that can be. I mean, he was not that far behind, but now he's come in at the end of lap 4, and it is quite a distance behind now. He's got 2 more drivers and a few seconds between him and me. Now JM Breyer in the Aston Martin, I think it's the DB01, isn't it, chasing me down here. Really tricky car to drive that, but he's obviously making it work. It is good down the straights and it's definitely got some top line speed, so I'm just going to do whatever I can to stay in front here, but I'm not going to fight these guys too hard. At the end of the day, I think I'm just going to absolutely ruin my tyres, and there's not going to be a lot I can do. So I do move over to the side, thinking that he's going to have the outside, maybe I can hold on to it with the inside line, but Key also comes flying up here. It's going to be really difficult for me to defend, and I'm just not brave enough on the brakes there, or I don't know if it's the fact of the standard of the two drivers I was defending against, but I felt like I had no choice to let them through there, or I was going to push one of them wide into the barrier, and the last thing I want to do is be taking people out, just trying to, cling on to 13th place in a race. So I decided to tuck in behind them and see if we can follow them through to gain a few positions here. But then unfortunately I do just clip the grass a little bit there, don't get on the power as well as I would like to, and you see the pair of them are just going to pull away from me a little bit. So in 15th, bit of a gap now. They've got the strong slipstream of each other. It's going to be a bit of a battle to work our way up, but I was determined to do what I could to have a much better result than we did last time round. Now, managed to stay far enough ahead that we've come out ahead of the Spanish driver there, who was coming out of the pits, and they're really bunching up front, so we know there's going to be plenty of fight in there as Key makes the move and moves up into 10th place, and that is only going to be helping me, as the more battling that can be going on between these four in front, the more I can be catching up. And also they're going to be wearing their tyres out, whereas I can play nice and safe and try and keep my tyre management to the best it can possibly be. Once again round this tricky corner then to hook up the long straight at the front, and we get a good exit this time. It looks like we don't get a great exit, I think just because the guys in front have all got such strong slip of each other, and I'm sort of that 3-4 tenths further back, so it's not quite as strong for me, but I do feel like I hooked that one up reasonably well there. We're also up on our best lap so far, so nowhere near going purple with this field and the drivers that there are, but we are setting our best laps, best sectors, and really closing up on this gap in front. So as you see there, 7 tenths up on previous fastest lap, going for a low 140. Come in nice and tidy through there as J&Bria goes a little bit wide. Now I'm not going to look for a move at the inside here, there's just too much traffic, and we're going to stay tucked in behind if we try and get a better exit. As unfortunately there, J&Bria just catches the barrier on the way out, and I just didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have the reaction time to drive around him. We do clip his back bumper, and it means that we've slowed down quite a bit off the rest of the pack. But once again skipping forward as they go 3 wide here into the tight turn up into this S's section. Key battling his way through, and we're up into 10th place now with a good sniff of 9th, so we're going to see if we can follow Key through here as we get a little bit too narrow, but just about getting away with it. Almost running wide, but managed to just hold off the power long enough, and thankfully the cars in front are being held up by fighting, so they're not going to pull away from us too much at all. So they go side to side out of the hairpin there. Tricky corner to not send somebody wide into the barrier there and enter the shadow realm. Now we've got some choices to make as we come down this straight, because we've got to bump draft somebody or go all the way around the outside. So I think the sensible choice is to bump draft Damien here because he's on the inside. I'm not sure what happens here if this is a bit of a lag spike, but I just bump him a little bit more than I would have expected there. It was like he suddenly broke, but there were no brake lights, and I did watch it back here from his angle. I don't know if he just outbraked himself, or maybe it was a lag spike that just made me bump into him. Luckily it doesn't send him off the track, but I really don't know what that was all about. Must be something from the server, because it's like his car suddenly stopped in time. But we'll live to fight another day. We're now up into 8th place and hot on the tail of Key, so whilst I don't think I'm really the kind of driver who's going to be making many moves on someone like Key, I really wanted to just try and keep him honest here and give him a good race. So we're going to stick with him here for the last couple of laps and see, as once again we go blue through sector 1, are we going to be able to give Key a run for his money? Now it's interesting to see the tyre comparison here. I've got slightly better tyre wear than Key as we flip between the two screens there, and I didn't know that at the time obviously, but it's nice to see my tyre management was definitely one of my worst points. Probably mainly from never having really done daily race Cs before and not having to be conscious of that kind of thing, but I've been working on the smoothness of my steering, and it's definitely paying dividends here as we come round for the penultimate lap. Having better tyre wear than a driver like Key, obviously he is faster and he's been pushing from the back, so it kind of makes sense, but it was encouraging to see that on the replay nonetheless. And whilst I say that I'm not the calibre of driver that's really going to be making many moves on key, we do have to bear in mind here that he's got no slipstream, and we know how strong the slipstream is in this game, so there's every possibility that I might be able to send a move, maybe make something stick and then be able to defend. But my main concern here is I'm still sort of within the slipstream of the driver at 9th with one good sort of break-in zone from him, and I don't want to fall back into that 9th and 10th place battle, because I'm just going to get sucked up into it, and the chances are that I'm going to lose one if not two places. So we bump draft key to get a bit of a better exit, and I do think that was the right decision in hindsight, to stick with the faster driver, use his toe to pull away, and you see there we quite quickly get up to over a second clear. Now this time we get a good exit. Not quite as good as key, as we just catch the curb around the inside there, but we're not going to actually spin the car this time, which is always nice as you're coming around towards the end of what's been a fairly tense race so far. And we're coming up the straight here for the second to last time. Let's skip ahead a little bit, and you see that we're still the same kind of gap from key as we come towards the braking zone, but are definitely keeping the pressure on him a little bit here. We're not by any means dropping off and just letting him drive off into the sunset, so keeping it smooth, seeing maybe if he makes a mistake, it does happen. And once again, as we come down the front straight, we're going to have a great toe here, and there's definitely going to be an opportunity to maybe try and send a move as we come round for turn 1 for the final time. So Key takes the inside, we're going to come to the outside. I'm not going to be able to outbrake him at this stage, but just trying to really stay in his mirrors here and keep the pressure on as he almost loses the back end there. I thought maybe that was going to be me coming through, but we are still within a tenth of a second of him as we come down into the next braking zone. Just after the 50 board, trail braking round, keeping it really nice and tidy. Coming across, but just go a little bit too wide there, and he's going to again pull away. Ironically, if anything there, I go wider than I did on the previous race, but managed not to spin the car this time. But pressure gets me a little bit. I actually brake at the wrong PlayStation board there. My brake marker is the second to last PlayStation board, but I broke for some reason just after the third one there. Just not really paying attention, and it's going to mean that we drop down to 5 tenths behind. Still possibilities to see if we can make anything work though. You never know, tyre wear is going to be high at this point in the race as we catch up right within the braking zone there again, making maybe a tenth, and unfortunately the driver in 6th place there has spun it. Talking of tyre wear being high, he's obviously just lost the grip, and we move up into 7th place. See if we can keep it tidy, but we don't. We just didn't really compensate for the tyre wear there, I think, a little bit. Adrenaline running high at the end of the race, trying to keep up with Key and probably pushing a little bit too much, and we are going to have to settle for 7th place. But that was how it all ended out. I was really pleased with the race, both races to be fair, apart from that one silly mistake at the end of race 1. Thanks ever so much for sticking with it. If you have enjoyed the video, then please do drop a like and say subscribe for lots of Gran Turismo 7 content coming soon. We're going to be doing some of the sport mode, but also checking out the new cafe mode and all the other great game modes that are coming back from classic Gran Turismo sports of old. So look forward to seeing you for some of them. Hope you've enjoyed the racing, and we'll see you again for another video soon. Thanks very much.